The pod race scene from Star Wars is truly remarkable and far ahead of its time. I have always been fascinated with the idea of a pod racer and have watched this scene at least 100 times. That being said, there is some mistakes and things that just do not make any sense. Let's go over them for fun.
Outer rim territories. I see the contestants are making their way out onto the starting grid. I see Ben Quadranero.
While we fast forward to the first mistake, one thing I want to mention is, how do the engines stay afloat while being completely dead still? They use hovercraft technology to stay afloat above the ground, but surely there should be some resistance to the ground below, making the engines wobble or move slightly. The only time the engines start having any movement is once they start up the engines. Here we see Arc Bumpy Ruse behind Dudbolt. But he seems to be positioned skew on the starting line. You can see how his pod is facing to the right. Here where Anakin stalls on the starting line, look how long it takes for all the pod races to pass him off the grid. This is weird because a pod racer launches extremely quickly, though even like 5 seconds later there are still races passing him. Also notice how Gasgano passes him almost immediately, as well as EB Endicott on the far side. There he goes, right? But then long after Anakin stalls, a blue pod racer passes him here, which has to be EB. This makes no sense.
Wait, little Skywalker has stalled. Super. Well, it looks like Quadraneros is having engine trouble also. Come on, Eddie. There goes Skywalker. Go, Andy, go! He will be hard-pressed to catch up with the leaders.
Let's quickly mention the deleted scene. Luckily, this was a deleted scene because this is a huge mistake. Here we see Sebulba Flash Gleg hold fast with his vents, causing him to crash. But watch how after this scene, it cuts back to Anakin, and it clearly shows him passing Gleg hold fast. Remember when I said, remember the size of Alder Beto? His engines were as big as Sebulbas on the starting line, but here they look tiny. There are actually quite a few inconsistencies with how the placements move around during the race. For instance, notice how Team 2 is in second right behind Sebulba here. And here, Gasgano is in second right behind Sebulba. Here is another big mistake. Here, Odie Mandrill goes into the pits, where his engines gets destroyed by one of the pit crew. But then shortly after, we see a vendor selling food to the crowd, and in the background, we see Odie just fine.
It looks like Skywalker's moving up the field.
This is important for later. Look how Anakin is pulling the lever towards him in the direction he wants to turn. So here he is, turning left. So he pulls the left stick towards him.
He has to complete 2 more circuits.
Yeah.
Look who we have here. Gasgano, who was in second, but is now somehow in the middle pack with Anakin. The rest of the race is pretty decent, with no major mistakes that I could find. The final one that has always confused me, and that does not make any sense, is the final scene where their cockpits get locked together. Here we see Anakin steering the opposite way than what he is pulling the lever. Remember earlier, he was pulling the left lever towards him to turn left, but here he is pulling the left lever to turn right. Here we see Sebulba ramming Anakin, but notice how far their cockpits stay from each other. This makes sense as their cables are not long enough in relation to their speed to drift over even with a hard slam. But here, it's as if it happens by them just racing normally that something gets hooked into Anakin's cockpit. Look how far over Anakin's cockpit is to be able to get hooked in. How was this even possible, especially when just racing normally, side by side? Never mind how little they move over when getting rammed.
That little human being is out of his mind.
Nevertheless, this is still one of my all-time favorite scenes in any movie. I hope you enjoyed some of the mistakes and things I had noticed. Did I miss anything? Leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Frodo!